Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Truth About Politics channel. Uh, for the introduction, we've got Smurf Killer, we've got I Am Shammer, we've got An Informed State of Mind. That's it. Kind of a short panel. Out in the outside, though, we've got Ace J, we've got Knuckle Mac 33, Stan Ulch, Anna Primo. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Crazar Nugs, and Dutch Hunter, of course. I Am Shammer, he's also on the panel. And Truth About Politics, that's me. What do you know? Bite Abel, welcome, sir. Gimp Geek. What can I say? Weapons Machinist and Smurf Killer also on the panel. Johnny Master at Arms Done. I'm not sure if he's still in the chat. He popped in earlier. Welcome, sir. That looks to be about it. And in the chat here, start with Smurf Killer. You want to go ahead and give an intro for yourself, sir?
Yeah, don't sub me. My channel sucks. Thanks.
Outstanding. I Am Shammer, sir. Please try not to put it in code and keep it to within 3 or 4 alphabetical agencies, please.
Yeah, I'll just intro by saying, Anne, you're absolutely correct. He was waiting on Luke to start the show.
Oh, well, thanks for putting me on the spot. I appreciate that, Shammer. And you know what? I'll go next just for that sake.
You do it to me every time.
I know, and I do apologize. Like I said, it's tough being me. That's all I can say about that. And my deepest apologies. I'll do the only Canadian thing the most Canadian thing certainly that I will do this weekend, and that is I'll say I'm sorry. So yeah, that'll be all. And Anne, appreciate you watching.
You're up next, Banter. Go ahead. Go for it, buddy.
What the hell? I just went. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Well, first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for getting over here, checking out the Truth About Politics. This is the new channel. It's going to be strictly, of course, the political end of things, and it's a smart separation I can suggest here for you, Mike. So smart. But like I said, thanks very much for hosting the after chat. So yeah, Quasar Nugs just joined us. Well, fantastic.
Outstanding. Quasar Nugs, welcome to the panel, sir. You want to go ahead and give a quick intro, since we're still at the beginning and Luke just finished his intro? Go ahead, sir.
Hey, thanks, guys. Enjoyed the last chat. Just hope to hop in and maybe contribute some information if I feel the need.
Outstanding. Welcome to the panel. An informed state of mind, sir. There was a question out there earlier in the panel by Asa J saying, I'd be interested in to hear what Banter thinks of Tim Moen. I hope I'm saying that correctly. The current leader of the Libertarian Party of Canada. You want to go ahead and answer his question, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I can try to. I try to stay out of politics quite a bit, to be honest with you. Legitimately, I do watch it from the outside. Certainly, I do certainly know of Tim. Not certainly on a personal note by any means, but his activity in firefighting, and I've read a couple of things that he's actually wrote, and I do know that he's not a career politician, and I kind of like that idea, certainly, and I think this is what we should be kind of moving towards in all government. I believe there's a lot of strengths in that idea. I know that can be debatable. However, this guy, what I like about him certainly is that he's been quoted as saying that he doesn't have a desire to govern people, and I think that's important. It shouldn't be about governing people. It should be about managing a country, and the assets that we have to work within it. So. Again, something else he said, I think, was basically allowing free-born people to be free essentially, and to um, be creative certainly. So, and add value, I think is what it was to the country certainly, and what it stands for. And so, having said that, I do like that idea about him. I haven't seen anything terribly negative about him certainly at this particular point. I do believe he's a paramedic um, volunteer, and I think a filmmaker as well. Certainly, he's a family man, and that's about what I know of him. So I don't know much more than that. So I think he has a chance. Not until we have people that wake up, at least. But again, that's just it. So, and I say by waking up, I mean that kind of step outside of the three major parties that we have here in Canada, certainly. So that's it.
That's good. Always glad to hear what our maple syrup guzzling neighbors to the north are thinking when it comes to politics. So I here on the panel, Smurf Killer, him and I were talking before the chat started. Certainly before any of the others showed up. We were talking for quite a bit before Luke showed up. Quite a bit. I mean, incredibly long time. But Smurf, you had a point that you wanted to make, and I really liked it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be. I think we are going to do the show about this. This is going to be part of the preparation of the mind and preparation of the soul, as continued on from the An Informed State of Mind chat. Smurf Killer, go ahead, sir.
Really? All right. Well, I think that the thing that we're going to have to, or at least in my opinion, lone wolves aren't going to make it very long in this, and I'll tell you why. If somebody's willing to kill somebody else for their can of whatever they got in their hand, or to leave a child there dead, or feed off of other people, that person is going to find themselves either alone or in a group. And that group is going to be a bunch of backstabbing people too. This is not a good way to go and approach this. The best way to do this, the best way to get through all of this, is to come together with people around you. Help anyone you can. Because if you don't, most people don't believe in karma, but I do. And I can explain it. The simple fact is if you can't trust the guy behind you with your life, he will leave you hanging when it looks like the battle's going to turn. That's the way it works. If you don't have trust, if you don't have mutual need for each other, then there's no way somebody's going to cover your back thinking that, hey, soon as something happens, this guy might shoot me in the back because he wants to eat me. Or I might have something he wants, because every time I see him do something, he's gunning somebody down for something. That kind of situation is bad for everybody involved, but it's worse for the people who are doing it. Because these groups where people are going to help each other, they're going to grow. Those groups where people are feeding off of everybody else, those groups are going to shrink. Anyway.
Well said, Smurf.
Very well said. Very well said. A few excellent points there. For one, the lone wolf, like you said, they're not going to make it. This has been proven for anybody who thinks they can go out there and do this. I obviously I don't know your skill set. I don't know what you've done, any past jobs or experience that you've had, but certainly I can point to history. There are very, very few stories, if any, of anybody going any sort of long time by themselves without any help or without any sort of system already set up that included other people. I mean, certainly you could possibly say that there are hunters that live out in the middle of the woods in Alaska, so to speak. They live by themselves. That's true. But the very, very large factor that they do, or that they have set up to prevent them from dying is that they get the bush pilots to come in, and they have supplies given to them. The lone wolf eventually always dies of something. And I'll give you a little bit here. In a shift situation, for example, you've got very little food that you can carry by yourself. All right, it's kind of hard to fit a food for a very, very long time in a backpack. Even if you are very good at hunting, there are going to be times when you are not going to come up with anything. Nothing at all. Winter, for example. Sure, there are animals out. Lots of them. It may be too cold for you to move about, though. At least for a long time. And eventually you're gonna make a mistake. You're gonna be too weak to continue, and you're gonna die. Whereas if you've got a group, you can carry a lot more stuff. You can carry, or you can go the distance, so to speak. It's a larger trap line. It's a larger hunting area. You can support each other. If somebody's too weak to build a fire, then the other person can build the fire. Build the strength up together to go on the next 100 or so feet, however little you need to go. There are very, very few instances in history where the lone wolf ever makes it for any amount of time. If that were true, then you would not see tribes. You would not see that. There'd be very few people on this earth. Very few.
The thing is as people collect into groups, man, here's the difference, okay? When you're out there on your own and you can't trust anybody around you because you're marauding, all right, you are taken from others. But those others are gathering people together. They're building an infrastructure that's going to be able to supply food. There are ways to do all of this. If you think you're just going to maraud, that's not going to work out for you, believe me, because while you're running around picking up people who are marauders like you, those preppers are out there, the smart ones, and they're letting people in. And the people they're letting in are ex-military with children because they know their kids will be safe in that group. That's the difference. These guys will be trained, and when you come up against them, there'll be more of them than you. It's not going to go well. Groups are how anything's won. Marauders never last long. Anybody who thinks it's going to be like friggin' Mad Max is dreaming. Because in Mad Max, all those people come together, right? But here's the thing. Look at the desert. They would have to be eating themselves. So what happens when the first guy draws the short straw? Is that going to be you? Or if you're the one making them draw the straw, what are those people looking at? Most of them will say, yeah, I'll eat it, but, when I draw the shortest straw, it's my life. Your group's not going to have any kind of cohesion whatsoever. What, through fear you think you're going to rule? Well, whenever you hang your shit out, your people might leave you there to die. I don't know.
I'd like to point out something that I live in St. Louis near Ferguson, and during the Ferguson shit when it was going on, the majority of the police and SWAT, like the National Guard and all that, they weren't in Ferguson. You know where they went? They went to the St. Louis Federal Reserve Building downtown, and they were heavily made their presence known all around that. So so what I'm pointing out is the police and the military aren't the enemy. Yeah, you might have to fight them one day, but those are just bad guys. The real enemy are these fuckers pulling strings. Those are the people that should have targets on their backs.
I know a few people who are classified as race baiters that would fit that category. Yeah, that's a great point. Great point. I'd like to address a comment in the chat room. That was by OL01LS1SS. Kind of a sick, twisted, perverted comment. He said in that case he would eat the children first because they would be the most tender.
I think O1's kidding, man. I know him. He's just being obnoxious like I am sometimes.
All right. Well, I can't always tell. You know, via the text box or the chat box. So if you want to come in or something like that, please do. It's an open channel. I put the link down below. Come on in, everyone, please. But yeah, believe it or not, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Believe it or not, I have talked with people who have a mentality similar to that. All right, they believe that no matter what comes, that everything, they'll be able to do anything they need to survive. I heard a guy say once that to protect his house, he would shoot anybody that came near, cut their heads off, and put them on poles.
Okay, I have it's a what if, okay? Granted, there's going to be times when you're going to have some danger approaching, but let me run a scenario by you all. There's a guy, he comes walking over the hill. Now, he's not pointing his gun at you, right? But he does have a gun. Are you going to shoot that man? And let me ask, and this is the reason I ask. If he's not presenting a threat by pointing that gun at you, and you've got a gun too, and you point your gun at him, but he doesn't point it back, or even if he does point it back but doesn't pull the trigger, are you going to shoot that man? Let me carry this all the way out. Because what if that man has 5 kids over the hill and a wife? And you shoot him, then they're defenseless. And you can't help them because you just killed their only defense. And they're never going to trust you. Do you take the chance if you got the drop on him? Remember, he's coming into your AO. You've got the drop on him. Especially if you're setting your stuff up like you're supposed to. So, turns out this guy's ex-ranger or something. Is this a bad scenario that you killed him? Huh. He might have training that you don't have. He might have medical training. He might know how to run a shovel better than you. He might be willing to work for his food, to provide security for you for his food. Plan this stuff through, man. Think it out. Because if you're preparing properly, you have seeds, and you have the things that you need. You spread that stuff out. You need to become self-sufficient, because if this lasts like any other, this is going to last a few years. And the hunkering down in your house might work for a while, but at some point, you're going to have to move. Is it going to be better to have more people when you move or less? Because I'll tell you right now, if you get in a roadside ambush, more people's better. Because you ain't going to sneak if you're having to drive. The only time being stealthy is going to be an advantage to you, to be 1 or 2 people, is if you're total stealth mode. But you still need a base of operations. You can't just go and roam around the forest and just take whatever the hell you want from whoever you come across. Because at some point you're going to get yourself killed. It's risky at best. Anyway.
If I just might add to that, yeah, if you're just going to pop a guy walking over a hill in a shit-hit-the-fan scenario with a rifle, and just because he's holding a rifle non-menacingly, I mean, you got problems. You're not going to last long in that situation at all. Anyway, yeah, you're just inviting bad karma, as you put it. You know, like you said, the guy could have a lot of skills. Now, should you have a sniper rifle or a rifle trained on the guy? You know, if he was to raise it, sure. You know, but you should definitely designate somebody to go be a meet and greet guy for situations like that.
Yeah, you should never risk your own self, man. There's plenty of ways to do it. I got 2 boys that I can put behind deer rifles, and if he pulls that gun up, his head's gone. But the thing is you've got to sit down and think about that, because I'll tell you what, with me and them two boys, that's 3. With that man, that's 4. With the next man that comes along, that's 5. With the next man that comes along, that's 6. Makes us stronger every time we help someone. Plus, I'm a big believer in balance. Okay? Balance is this. We're going to have to do some bad shit. Some people are going to die. You're going to have to kill people. I guarantee that point will come. If you're lucky, you might avoid it. I doubt it. But the thing is if you're helping as much as you're harming, you balance out the damn ledger, and then at least you can live with your frickin' self. Because you won't have just murdered everybody that comes along. When you can help, you help. When you can't, you don't. It's that simple.
Oh, for sure. And if you don't have the moral high ground in situations and scenarios like that, then yeah, you shouldn't be acting.
Yeah, moral high ground is basically, that's everything that we've been trying to protect, isn't it? That's everything that preppers and everything are.
Yeah,
all this
isn't that
political stuff. It's to keep the high ground.
isn't it to keep this country free? I mean, isn't that what this is all about? I mean, are we all thinking that this is going to go to some kind of road warrior scenario? Because I'm sorry, it's not. If America goes down to civil war, goes down to this kind of collapse, I guarantee you other countries will come here. They're not just going to sit by idle. They're going to see that as a golden opportunity.
Not
and they're
only
going
that,
to go for it.
Yeah, not only that, they would come here just to keep the opposing sides from using nukes.
Well, that's the biggest thing right there. They're going to come here, and remember, we've set the legal precedent. We set that. The United States did. Why did we go into Iraq? Weapons of mass destruction. What are spread all over the United States? Weapons of mass destruction. The UN will come in here to maintain control of those weapons systems. Last thing they need is a redneck with his finger on the button and an aching to blow up some fucking city. That's the last thing they need. So they will send those people in. It's not an if, it's a when.
No, not right now.
And it's especially scary once you consider all the race baiting and the race wars that the people are trying to get going these days. It's an amazing coincidence that just now, or not just now, I mean during this time, there have been more people accused of racism and more racial tensions in this country, between the citizens. There have been more quote-unquote racial incidents in just the past couple of years than there has been in the 20 years before this, before these current ruler, I should say.
I would agree to that. Looking at it like, for example, like the provocateur events like Ferguson and all that. But other than that, it's been pretty decent. I mean, I live in a heavily, segregated city, and honestly, the majority of people I meet and living around me are African American, and they're nice people. But you do have, just like white population, you do have that certain percentage of them that they are racist. They do have feelings or negative tendencies. But I just you treat those people like they treat you. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Judge a book by its cover, you'll never get to see what's inside. It could be good, it could be bad.
On the outside there, hold on, let me get it right here. Gimp Geek, he says, this guy has a wife and kids and you have 2 sons. If he pulls a gun on you, are you saying you would wait to see what he does before you shoot? Let me tell you something, man. My guns are going to be trained on him anyway, and if I point a gun at him and he points one back, that's defensive.
Yeah,
now, if he opens up, is he going to be able to hit me on that first shot? Because I ain't going to let him within 100 yards. I can yell 100 yards. Is he going to be able to hit me in that first shot? And if he can't, or even if he gets lucky and he does, my 2 boys will blow his head off. It's not. You got to take a chance, man. You have to. We've got to take the chance, because the simple reality is you will not survive alone. If you're out there on your own, one little family in one little house, they'll come pick you up one at a time. And that's what'll happen. The marauders aren't going to go for the place with 50 people walking around. They're going to go for that little house with 4 or 5 people. That's the house they're going to go for. And the groups will get bigger as it goes. The marauders will grow initially until they know they can't trust each other. Then they'll start falling apart.
Like a pack of sharks.
I just think we need to be a little bit more careful, man. Everybody wants to shoot first and ask questions later, you know. And another thing I see a lot is, oh, the sheep are stupid. Let me tell you something, man. In every war, even the first Revolutionary War, we had sheep too. We had people on the other side who called Tories. We need to understand that fucking these people are doing what they think is best. Just because they don't see it the way that you see it doesn't mean that their fucking point of view is not valid. For them it is. They believe it. Even if it is a lie, they will defend that. You have to understand that because we're supposedly the awake ones, right? We have to be the ones who know the shit. You can't just, oh, well, you believe this, so you suck. Well, you know what? They ain't learned what you learned. It's pretty much that simple. You've got to be able to look at people and stop saying, oh, well, they're just sheep. Fuck them. Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm a damn sheepdog, not a fucking wolf. And I'll never be a wolf. I will protect the innocent best I can for as long as I fucking can. And I'll tell you what, if it costs me my fucking life, it costs me my fucking life. Because it's an idea I believe in, not just selfish self-preservation bullshit.
Smurf Killer for president. Who's with me?
I swear an eternal oath against all hostilities in the hearts and in the minds of men, Thomas Jefferson.
That's a great quote. It basically comes down to I'm sorry, folks. I just saw that latest comment in the chat room. Smurf Killer, I think he's...
I was going to let Shammer jump in, but he left. I should have said, okay, what do you want to say? But, man.
Yeah. Yeah, Luke will be back in shortly, and that's AISOM to those of you who don't know. He'll be back in shortly, and at least that's what he told me. And I forgot what I was going to say now. I got derailed by reading that comment. Don't talk and read the comment section at the same time. You will lose your train of thought.
Well, the simple truth is, man, is I'm all the stuff that I believe in is an idea, man. It's an idea. It's called the Constitution, man. That's what I'm here to defend. That we're not doing this to ourselves. Yeah, they might be able to collapse the economy, but you all know where that's going to end. That's going to end in a civil war. Well, when we come out the other side of this, are we going to stand for anything, or are we going to stand for nothing? Because if you don't live it, you don't stand for shit. That's why we're in the situation we're in. Because our politicians don't fucking live it. So we have to live it to defend it. That's how it fucking works. And if you don't live it, you're no use to anybody. Because you stand for nothing.
You gotta enforce the Constitution. You gotta enforce it. There has to be... That's one thing that I think all this stuff... Well, hold on. That's one of the reasons. You made a great point about keeping your morality standing. You gotta stand for something. That is one thing that society, at least in my opinion, in my uneducated, completely guessing opinion, society's got very few morals left today. Very few.
The thing that I'll say also is the last time the United States won a war, and I mean won a war. All right? Won a war. We had a moral code, man. Yeah, we did a lot of bad shit in World War II, but we had a moral code. Germans had a moral code. None of us were like this. People stood for shit. Learn a little bit about the SS. Learn a little bit about the American Rangers. Learn about these people. These people kept going and kept fighting because they believed in what they were doing. If you don't believe in nothing, you won't last long. You're pickings for whoever comes across you, whoever's stronger than you. But if you have a moral code and a system that you believe in, you can do amazing things.
Yep.
I mean, just ask the founding fathers, they'll tell you. Well, if they're still alive, of course. I think they do tell you in a whole bunch of their quotes. They took on the one world empire back then. It had never been beaten. Never. And we kicked the shit out of them.
Look what they are today. Just some little island over there that's been separated into a few countries.
Well, British Empire's still something. They're just not what they used to be.
We
But
were
at the
fighting
time-
the money changers then, and we're fighting them now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I agree. We just changed British money changers from American money changers.
Yeah.
That's all we did.
People talk about the New World Order back then. That was the world order. It was British. It
You
was.
see that, but that Constitution, when it's instituted, the way it's written, the way it's supposed to be, it's a whole different world, man. Ask yourself, what other country in the history of the world became a superpower in less than 200 years?
Not Britain. Certainly
None
not
of
Rome.
them. None of them.
The only one I can think of is the Mongolians, and they did not last very long.
See, there ain't many. America achieved a lot of great things because they gave us the loose reins and let us get out there and do what we wanted to do. Gave us freedom, and it made this country great. And it'll make it even greater if we can put it back. Freedom is how you get innovation and all that other stuff. It's not just from war. It's people going after their dreams because they're allowed to. Well, we don't do that anymore. Now it's the government gives you a contract so that you can have a business, or you got to go to the bank and take out a loan or some bullshit like that. Didn't used to work like that. Used to work if you were willing to work hard enough, you could make it. Sometimes we see that every now and again, but it's very, very rare. And mostly it's all high-tech shit, all internet stuff, nothing else. But I don't know. I think we need to stand for something, man. If we don't stand for anything, we'll fall for anything. We're in the position we're in because our fucking leaders aren't following the Constitution. That's why we're there. Well, the Constitution says that I don't have the right to shoot some guy who comes walking onto my property unless he has bad intent. How the fuck do I know if he has bad intent if he hasn't done anything to show me that? What, I've got food and I think he does it so I can shoot his ass down? Tell me where it says that in the Constitution.
It doesn't. The Constitution does not even mention anything along those lines.
We have to believe in the Constitution, man. That guy carrying his gun is doing the same thing that you're doing, man. And he may be protecting his family, and you're protecting yours, but together you'll be stronger. And he may not want to stick around. He may just want to trade. Or he might just ask, look, I don't really want to stay here. I have somewhere I'm going, but I was hoping I could get water or some food from you. Is it going to kill you to give the guy a can or two of fucking food? Because I'll tell you right now, most of the time what's going to happen is they're going to want to stay because you're at least set up a little bit. And if they stay, they got to work, man. They got to pull their weight. And if they don't, then figure that out. But the stronger we get, the bigger our groups are, the better our chances of survival. Small groups work good when you're trying to avoid a government, but in a shit hits the fan situation where you're taking food from other people, That's not trying to fight the government. That's fucking all out fucking bullshit. And at that point, you have to change your strategy. And then in a war with the government, you also have to sit down, or Russians. I think that's still a real possibility. But in either one of those scenarios, you still need a safe place for your family, man. If you plan on going out and fighting, what are you going to do? Leave your kids and your wife at home? Is that what you're going to do? Or are you going to have some place for them to go to? Well, you need a group of people for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's logistics that have to be considered here. You want to survive, get people around you. You may not find them yet because I know they're hard to find. I hear a lot of people saying that all the time. Well, I don't know anybody in my area that has my same views. I guarantee you after this shit goes down, a lot more people have your same views than you think.
When they turn the electricity off, they'll go outside. They'll talk.
Oh, yeah.
Found it, shoved in the back.
Kind of hard to not associate with your neighbors when Dancing with the Stars is no longer on the magic portal of happiness. But yeah, I love that quote, man. You stand for nothing, you fall for everything. That's shirt worthy right there. Put that on a shirt. It's very, very true.
We shoved back in here in this mess.
The only reason any of you are doing this, I suspect, is because you feel like it's the right thing. It's because that's why you listen. Is you want to be educated about this. You want to help other people. The vast majority of you, I believe, at least try to let people know.
The worst thing that ever happened to the prepper / militia movement in this country was that goddamn TV show, fucking Doomsday Preppers. Because everybody got the freaking idea from that fucking you gotta kill anyone that even comes near you. I knew lots of militia people in the 90s and preppers. I was one of them. We never said stupid shit like that. It was always fucking, how are we going to meet up? How are we going to fucking do this? How are we going to do that? What if we end up with a group of refugees? What's going to be the deal then? What are we going to do? It was never just shoot any motherfucker that comes onto your property. It was never that. Then that stupid-ass fucking TV show came out, and everybody's, well, we're going to shoot anybody who comes near us. It's the same shit, different day, man. People say, oh, I'm so awake, man, but they watch the mainstream media. Oh, yep, there's lots of lies in the mainstream media. I'll give you that. But you know what? There's lots of lies on the internet, too. We need to fucking be discerning the news, not just watching it and taking whatever somebody says and taking it to heart. I've heard some crazy shit on here, man. Shit like flat earth. You buy that shit? I don't. What about hollow earth? You know, it's a big fucking blown up fucking beach ball and there's nothing on the inside. Saw that? Yeah, I fucking seen all that shit. Fucking you buy that? Or do you discern your shit, man? When somebody puts up a video, do they provide links that says, hey, man, go here and look at this fucking link? Then you find out the real news.
I don't believe everything you see on the internet.
As a matter of fact, you can believe less that you see on the internet than you see in the mainstream. Because the mainstream at least has to fucking hold the fucking aura of credibility. But the internet doesn't.
Well, the internet takes some intelligence to learn how to discern information and actually check your facts. That's the great thing about the internet. You can go check your facts, unlike the mainstream media. You can go check the mainstream news media's facts, you know?
And
but you got to know how to do it.
And that's the kick-ass thing about it, man, is once you learn how to use both, you can use them to check each other. And fucking you can find out a lot more truth that way. Once you learn how to use both, man. There's stuff that they say in the news that's fucking bullshit. There's some dumbass shit that gets said. But you know what? 5 minutes on the internet and Google, and you're going to find 10 different links that tell you exactly what happened.
Well, that's the thing too, is nobody reads anymore. They want to get their news from a little 3-minute video bite instead of going and reading all the important articles that are actually not put into video because they don't want you to know this fucking shit because the 5-6 big mainstream news companies are all literally owned by the same corporations. You know, it's all controlled news. It's controlled propaganda. What is it? CNN? It's got a CIA office, admittedly, in the damn building. You know, they get press releases to talk about. You know, they get it's all bullshit. You know.
Well, the thing about it is, man, is fucking, if you go and take the time to research this shit, you're gonna learn news. But if you keep taking in videos off the internet like you consume the news on television, they're counting on you doing that. They're counting on it. Oh, they're not gonna research it. They're just gonna watch this 3-minute video that tells them this, this, and this, and that's what we want them to believe. That's a problem. People need to be looking at the shit. If something seems real important to you, like it could be the economy going to collapse in 6 months, and you find a freaking link that confirms that, and you find some more, research that shit. Learn all you can about it, because that might be the telltale sign. I am of the opinion, and I have been for almost 30 years, that they're going to telegraph this shit. They're going to show their hand before they make their move. It won't be long, but you'll have 48 hours to 72 hours notice, and then they're going to pull their shit. That's a long time in fucking get out of Dodge world.
That's half a country. Heck, you can be anywhere in the world in 72 hours. You can be literally anywhere in the world.
Yo.
Anywhere.
But see, if you're watching and you're paying attention and you're reading the articles and those links, some links are ridiculously stupid. Like, you'll go to them and it's like, boy, this is a fucking joke. But other links, you'll click on that shit and you'll be going, holy fuck, man, it says exactly what he said. Those are the links you're looking for, man. It's the ones you can confirm from multiple sources. Them are the ones that'll tell you everything you need to know, man. And Alex Jones and the rest of them, they don't cover that shit. Don't get me wrong, Jones breaks a lot of great news. But Jones is just like everybody else, man. He likes to pump up that fear to get them voters, or get them viewers. The mainstream media does it too. ISIS, 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 ISIS. All fucking day long. And Alex Jones' mantra is government, government, government. It's the same thing, man. The difference is Alex Jones's focus is different than the mainstream media. And people who dog on him, and I'll dog on him quite a bit, actually, but you need to watch him for the factual information he puts out, because you won't get it anywhere else. He broke the thing about the fucking 3 missing nuclear weapons out of Gaius. There's all kinds of fucking documented proof that that actually happened. He broke that.
Well, I mean, you got William Binney. You know, he's like I said, some of the top whistleblowers in the world, or that are known, or have come through him. William Binney, Steve Pachenik, these are top level people. And who's the chick that confirmed that the government was giving medical aid to Osama bin Laden in 2001 before he died? What the fuck's her name? Sidmel Edmonds. So it's you got to, like you said, man, you got to discern information.
Focus of interest is different than most of the others, man. Most of the others are running off a mainstream playbook. Alex Jones's deal is driven by profit motive. Okay, I watched his very first videos, man, when they came out. So I've been watching that guy forever, and I'll tell you right now, he knows the pulse of the people, man. He knows that there's this community out there. So what does he look for? Hidden information. Shit that can be tied together. You start looking at his actual information and you do a little bit of the legwork yourself, Alex Jones is a very, very useful news outlet. Yeah, there's a bunch of crazy stuff on there. He says some strange shit sometimes. But other times, he's telling you the truth. It's just like the mainstream media, and it's just like videos on the internet. Sometimes the truth is there.
Yep.
When you learn how to consume news, one of the most important things that anybody should be able to do, anyone, is not take a 3 or 5 minute video. Take a little bit of time, sit down and research that shit. Learn how to consume it. Basically what you're doing is you're gathering intel. So the trick is you need to be able to take that intel and decide what's relevant and what's not. So you need to be listening to that kind of stuff and doing what needs to be done to figure out what's true, what's bullshit. And sometimes, once you get good at it, you can tell, okay, they keep telling me this, but I know it's bullshit, but why are they telling me that? What do they want me to do? Sometimes that'll give you information too.
I need Cameron.
I'm in mute for a
That's
minute.
very true. Very true. Man, I got to get together with a few of you guys, you in the panel and you guys out there in the chat room. We gotta come up with a way for an algorithm, you could say, for helping to discern credible information from pure crap. I mean, a good bit of it is very, very easy to tell, and then it's the stuff that gives you pause. You gotta have a way. You gotta have a system. I mean, for example, my system, I run it by a few people I know. They'll do their own research at the same time I'm doing my research. They find different links. They know different people. You know, get to where you know these people. Get yourself a good communication network. All right? Don't believe everything you see. Because believe everything you see, all it does is cause fear. It's a bunch of fear mongering. That's all it is. Once you give into the fear, there is nothing left. They own you. It's that simple.
Nicest thing about it is once you get with a group of people that you can crosstalk information to, a best way to do it, a simple algorithm as you put it, when you find somebody who does and posts stuff all the time that gets good information, put them in your circles. That way you're notified whenever they say something. Connect yourself that way, man. Use that. Don't just use the videos off YouTube. Use the comments too. A lot of times, like, I'll watch a video, and while I'm watching the video, I'll read the comments. Okay? The reason I'm reading the comments is to see which ones really get trolled. Because the ones that get trolled real bad, usually you can check those out, and it turns out that there's some truth there. That's what you're looking for. When the trolls come out, there is something there. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Let's talk
easy
about
to
that,
do.
Smurf. Let's talk about them trolls.
All right, man.
Because you know, it's come out in the Washington Post and New York Times that, I mean, there is groups like some of the biggest
Right.
groups that have literally whole rooms dedicated to getting on the internet and trying to attack anything that goes against the mainstream news. Like that's
right.
you know. So are they really trolls, or are they just paid bots? You know.
Disinformation is what they are.
Exactly.
But usually when you find one that's getting trolled real heavy, there's something there, man.
Yeah, it's those little think tank groups.
Yeah. No, that's the biggest thing. Trying to stuff food in my mouth too, man. I know I'm terrible. That's the biggest thing. People got to understand that sometimes fucking information is actually there in what they don't say. Okay? That's the biggest thing. If you're looking at the trolls, what you're looking for is what's that one fact that they all talk shit about? What's that one fact that they all talk shit about? Well, if they're all talking shit about that same fact and they're different trolls, something's up there. Something is up there. So go check it out. Try to figure out, is it true? Is it false? Is it something that warrants my attention? Take the time. Instead of watching a whole bunch of videos, and I'm not saying don't watch the videos that you watch now. Well, I kind of am, but not really. Take that extra 10 minutes. Check the links. Most guys will post links. When they post links in there, There's a reason that they do it, because they're trying to tell you, look, man, I got proof. Here, look, right here. And don't just look for the links, man. Check them out, because sometimes you'll find a video with a bunch of broken links, right? You got to ask yourself, one, did the government take those videos off the air? Or two, are those links put up there to make you believe something that they want you to believe? And you need to look at it that way. You need to ask yourself those questions. Because if you're not, you're just consuming the information the same way that everybody else is consuming it, all the sheep. You're consuming it the same way.
Which makes you a sheep. You can be a prepper and still be a sheep. Because the sheep will go whichever way they're being told. Even told to them by other preppers.
Yep.
I'm not saying be a lone wolf. I'm saying be smart enough, educate yourself enough to make up your own mind.
That's just it.
You know.
It's just like the fact of the matter is, most people, they parrot 90% of the information they hear. They don't actually check the facts. Just like 90% of the people aren't gonna go full throttle with what you're saying.
No. But 10% might.
Yep. And we don't need 10%, do we, man? We need less than 4.
Nope, that's right. And remember this, the more spread out they are, you put the right people in the right places. There used to be a group, I don't know if any of you guys heard of Bogrites before, but you used to call this group the Spike Training Group, right? And basically they had videos out. Well, what the acronym stood for was Specially Prepared People for Key Events. That's what it stood for. Because those people had a certain set. Anyway, they had people trained in certain things, and they traveled all over the country. The idea with the internet, the thing I like about this is people all over the country are hearing what we're talking about. One person applies that into town, that person's going to have information that no one else does. That person might be able to use that information to help the others in his town. Puts him in a position where he's going to be able to tell them, no, this is not what it appears. This is what I learned. This is what I know. See, I'm a big believer that Jade Helm may not be what it seems to be, but I'm also of the opinion that you shouldn't lay down. So I think you should prepare both ways. I think that we need to also take into account, though, it could be the other way. This could be a readiness exercise for a potential invasion. Does that mean it's the case? Not necessarily. But be prepared for any eventuality. Be prepared for anything that comes up. Anything.
I'm a big follower of Joel Skousen, Smurf. Like, I kind of agree with him, man, on that line. I don't deny that it's a possibility, but I think if it was to happen, it's 15, 20 years down the road. These fuckers are going to drag, they still got to get our guns from us, dude, before the Russians would ever think of doing that. You know what I mean? And I don't know how long it's going to take them to do that, but they're working on it, aren't they?
Well, my thing is it looks like they're trying to spark up a civil war or some kind of civil unrest. Look, we're divided like we've never been before. Never. It was bad before 9/11, but it's never been like this. They're looking for any spark they can get, anything they can get to create civil unrest. And as soon as the government declares martial law or a state of emergency, all the militias are going to come out because this is the gun grab.
Well,
we'll probably see that at the start of the beginning of World War III too. One of our little bases, 172 bases, will be attacked with a nuke, a tactical nuke, and they'll be like, oh shit, now we're going to war, and then you'll see the war state pop up. And then, we'll probably see a Night of the Long Knives, like I said in the other chat.
Well, I think Russia, China, and the UN want to see the United States go down divided so that they don't really have to fight us that much. I think they want us to start killing each other.
Yeah. And one thing you should keep in mind, if you think about it just a little bit, first I would recommend everybody read their Constitution. Read it.
Wow.
I don't mean just like read the First Amendment, Second Amendment, and a few other amendments, and maybe Article 1, Section 8 or something like that. Read the entire thing. read it a few times. All right, that will dispel a very large amount of myths in itself. Believe it or not.
I'll one-up you on that. Don't just read the Constitution, read the Communist Manifesto. And once you understand the Communist Manifesto, you'll understand how far this country's gone. We have very little resemblance of a constitutional republic. We actually more so resemble, a despotism, a corptocracy, with social and fascism, leaning elite.
We're an oligarchy.
Yeah.
We're an oligarchy, man. We used to accuse the Russians of it, but we are truly one. You got the money, you get to decide what happens. We're an oligarchy.
Yeah. And I'll tell you guys something. The other point I was going to make is that with this racial division, it's starting to get out of hand. Actually, it's not starting to. It's out of hand. How many cities have had riots due to that so far? How many cities have had the National Guard had to come out? How many cities have been declared an emergency area?
Actually, the thing is it's starting to happen more constantly, and it's also starting to happen for a different reason. But let me tell you, during the late 90s, man, there was a lot of these riots like this. I mean, really. Actually, not quite as bad as like Baltimore or anything like that, but they were pretty good ones, man. And there have been some nationwide stuff that happened back then. The difference is now, man, is what you're seeing, and this is no kidding. You're seeing provocateurs right in the middle of it, and they are trying to get the cops. They're trying to goad the cops into something.
Yeah.
That's what happened in Ferguson, and I know a lot of people will say, oh, that's not what happened, man, but that's what I believe, dude. The cops said those bullets come from 125 yards away, not across the street. I believe the cops who were being shot at, they know where the bullets were coming from. Believe me. Yeah. These guys are trained around firearms, man. They reacted properly. They didn't all run like a bunch of cowards. They all took cover. They knew where the shots came from.
You know what that was?
They did not come from in the crowd. What?
That was George Soros' $33 million at work.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. They were trying to get the crowd. They were trying to get the cops to open up on the crowd. That's what they were looking for.
Yeah, and you know what? With all these riots and stuff, believe it or not, the government is constitutionally allowed to declare martial law.
I'm not so sure about that.
Read it. In case of rebellions or insurrections, the National Guard and the state militias are allowed to be used to quell dead insurrections and rebellions.
Well, if you learn your
constitutional
history, man, you'll understand that we've been under the Emergency War Powers Act since what is it, Smurf? When was that passed? 1872, 1882, something.
Yeah, right after the Civil War.
So I mean, that's how they've been able to get away and weasel their way around the Constitution all these years, step by step, baby cuts. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we haven't operated under a constitutional republic probably since the first 40 years of the country. The rest of the time we've been screwed, and I would argue that our founders never achieved the ideas that they put forth in their writings and their teachings in the Constitution and the Federalist Papers, etc.
Well, right off the bat, man, there were people who were trying to undermine it. Right off the bat.
Yeah, look at everybody has their mixed feeling about Andrew Jackson, but look what he wrote about the bankers and how he fought the central bankers on, all the issues.
Man, is that me or? Oh, you muted.
No, he's muted.
Nah, the thing about it is, man, is we've got to understand, and I think they can use the National Guard and the militia. They can call them up, but I don't think that's martial law, man. Martial law means that the military takes over. That's martial law, and at that point, it's military rules. It's a whole new ball game. But the the undeclared,
my bad. I was caught up in my own ignorance.
The undeclared martial law that Quasar's talking about, that's how they get around the Constitution right there. That's how come they're able to pass the laws that they pass. Next time you go into a courtroom, look for that yellow fringe on that flag. That means you're under maritime law, dude. Maritime law, that's martial law. That's what that yellow fringe means. It's not a fucking decoration.
Exactly. Capitis Demus. That's why your
Yep.
your name is in capital letters when you get a government bill or a credit card number, because they own you. If you look up the definition of that, why your name is in all capital letters, your name should not be all capitalized. That's done for a reason.
Yep.
If you learn the true meaning of that, you'll start to go down the rabbit hole.
Yep. Matt and Resistant Tyranny in the chat room said Article 1, Section 9 says they can suspend habeas corpus. And he's right,
That's
it doesn't
just-
actually use the words martial law. That was my own ignorance on that one. I apologize.
It's habeas corpus, and habeas corpus is a big deal too, man, because you can be tried without evidence. That's what habeas corpus is.
Yeah. It's a sobering thought in itself. It really is, even if it doesn't say martial law. I mean, certainly terms have changed over the years. But
Well, they'll never use the term martial law. They'll use the term emergency, state of emergency.
Emergency Powers Act.
Yeah, well, that's the act they'll use, but they'll say emergency or state of emergency because that's what they've been saying.
or they'll call the National Guard for protection, or they'll call the Army for protection.
But that's the thing. They're not supposed to be able to call the National Guard. There's another
That's right.
federal grab. You know, that's supposed to be us. You know, and
The
just
National-
makes you sigh.
Well, the thing about it is they're trying to say that the National Guard is the actual militias. That's why they founded the National Guard, because the argument back in the 90s used to be that you didn't have a right to own the gun because militias meant the state guard. But the problem with that whole argument is the federal government controls the state guard, and that by definition is not the militia. You see what I mean? So that's why I think Heller happened, was because they were like, well, yeah, but you can't have it both ways, man. You can't say they're a National Guard but pay them and order them around like military. You can't do that. That's takes them out of the definition of militia.
Did you guys just hear that? Did you hear that article a couple weeks ago about Obama stripping the National Guard units all across the country of their Black Hawk helicopters? Or not the Black Hawks, I'm sorry, the Apaches. They're taking the Apaches from them.
Yeah, they've been talking about that for a little while.
Apparently he did it.
Yeah, that's not the only thing he did. What really surprised me is he said he's going to stop the militarizing of the police.
Yeah.
That really surprised me.
Yeah, but, you know, he says one thing and does the opposite. I mean, that's his MO.
Yeah, sometimes he does what he says though too. I'm starting to wonder about Obama, man, because it's like the New World Order wants him to do one thing, but he goes way out of his way not to do it. It's really weird. Because if he really wanted to, man, remember, all through the Clinton administration, Clinton never went to Congress. Never. He just went in and did his shit. Bombed foreign countries, all kinds of stuff. Bush gets in office. Bush goes to Congress, but he's pretty much going into those foreign countries anyways under the War Powers Act, and he stated as much. Barack Obama has that same fucking opportunity to be able to go into Syria for 90 days and take over in Syria. He had ground troops on the ground already, al-Nusra Front and everything. All he had to do was commit air power, but he didn't. He went to Congress instead. He's the first one to do that in how long? It's weird. I'm not saying he's a good guy, man, because I know there's a lot of shit that guy definitely is down with all them fucking piece of shit 60s radicals that want to take this country over. But it's weird how he's doing some of this stuff. It makes me wonder.
Yeah, and with that being said, we are here at the top of the hour. We're at about an hour and 3 hour and 4 minutes, I believe. I'm going to go through the external chat room real quick. Got Joel's Quantum Art School. He's been here a few chats. We've got Trap Rock Sniper. We've got Mac and Stud. We've got Politically Incorrect, sir. Welcome. I know you joined earlier. I'm just wondering. Did I get you? I don't remember saying your name earlier, so welcome. I've got O1LS1SS. got ACJ. Mac 33 seems to have left him. Resisted tyranny. He was in earlier with that one comment. Thank you very much for that comment. Article 1, Section 9, suspension of habeas corpus. It is constitutional. Got truth about politics. That's me. Excuse me. And Dutch Hunter. Welcome, sir. That seems to be the external. And here in the internal, of course, we've got Quasar Nugs and Smurf Killer putting up a very, very excellent chat. And yeah, we've got an informed state of mind. Just informed me that it will not let him join. So if we're lucky, I just sent him the link. If we're lucky, he'll be able to pop on here pretty soon. And if not, then I'll just tell him to type in the outer chat room, so you all have the benefit of his knowledge, and keep the conversation going. It's an excellent conversation. I do believe this is the most viewers I have ever had on this particular after chat, and that is 26 viewers. That's a record for me, folks. Thank you. You're all awesome, all of you. That's it.
Trap Rock out there said that it could be a move to federalize the police, and it's worth addressing. That's an absolute possibility, and if you know anything about the MJTF, the MJTF was their first shot at it. It's kind of a multi-jurisdictional task force. What it meant was, here in the state of Montana, we got highway patrol out of Washington State. I've had a run-in or two with these MJTF guys, and they actually wear it on a lapel on their uniform. It says MJTF right there. And I got to talking to the guy, and he said he was from Washington State, and he was transferred to Montana. Okay, it's basically they're moving these law enforcement around because what they're trying to do. See, now he pulled me over for no front license plate. Well, in Washington, that was against the law, but in Montana, it's not. So he pulled me over for a law because he didn't know any better. See, and that's part of that federalizing thing. They move them around so they don't know the difference between the laws from one state to the next state. I would be more concerned with another thing. This federalizing of the police doesn't concern me as much as the crime bill from 1994. The crime bill is scary as fuck if anybody's read it. That crime bill basically says, and they never repealed that, by the way, it's still law, but it gives the president the ability to hire foreign mercenaries. And in the bill it actually says Gurkhas, ex-Hong Kong police. That's where I'm more concerned, is that the president has that ability, and supposedly Obama got all that money back from the banks, but Congress kept asking, where's the money? That's where I would be asking questions. Is Obama hiring mercenaries from foreign countries to be our police forces? Or just to stir shit up? There's a lot of people who think that those BLM dudes that were at the Bundy Ranch standoff weren't BLM. They were actual contractors.
I think if you want to know the answer to that, Smurf, all you got to do is look at England or France
Right.
and watch the path that they've gone down in the last 5 or 10 years. It's 100%. That's all they've done to bring down the standard of living in the country, is bring in immigrants, put them in positions of policing and military, and yeah, they give them all the benefits.
But see, if you want to go into the actual law itself, all that stuff has been passed through one law in one form or another. The thing is what we have to realize, and this is what we need to really realize, the Constitution also states pretty clearly that any law that violates the Constitution is not law.
Exactly.
Whether the Supreme Court rules on it or not.
Well, and that's another thing that don't really get brought up a lot is everyone's worried about them passing this law and that law. Whoever gave them the fucking right to determine, to interpret the Constitution? Nobody. You know, they're not. We the people interpret the Constitution as we see fit, as we the people see fit, not as the politicians see fit. And that seems to have been lost in translation.
Well, and that's why we're here, because we've lost that ideal of what this Constitution stands for. That's what we've lost, and we've lost it. I'm just going to put it that way. We don't live by it. We don't live by it in our everyday lives. And I'm not saying the people on this chat or anybody in the chat room. I'm saying in general, people don't live by it. When's the last time you got behind, and not the people in the chat, when's the last time you seen a bunch of people get behind something and say, all right, man, for the kids, let's pass this law? Is it constitutional? No, but it's for the kids. That's where we're at, man, because we don't stand up. We don't have a moral code. We're like a fucking piece of grass in the wind, man. We just blow wherever the fucking wind takes us, man. We have no footing. We've lost our footing. And this is why we have to worry about people shooting people for no fucking reason at all. It's because we have no code. We have no understanding of who we really are. We were free men once, man. The world looked up to us. They fucking envied us. They wanted to be us. Look at us now.
Yep, the Communist Manifesto, man. Almost fully implemented. What, they got two left. The freedom of speech and right to own firearms.
I don't even think they really got the freedom of speech one left, man. They can actually pretty much shut you down.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, man. They've almost squashed it, haven't they? Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
But that's the thing. All this has to be for a reason, man, or we're just looking for a reason to freak out and start killing a bunch of people. Old one wrote me Esau Smurf. That's funny. If we could have one child Smurf, it was worth it. I agree. I agree, Don. And I think I understand what you're saying.
I mean, I personally believe we only have the 10th Amendment left in this country. If the states don't enact their 10th Amendment powers and go back to we the people, then you can pretty much expect a war with the federal government in the future. I mean, just by the way their past actions have accumulated.
I think that the United States government actually is setting us up for World War III with the Russians and the Chinese.
Yeah.
I actually do.
It'll be a 1, 2, 3, man. It'll be World War III. They'll have a Night of the Long Knives, attack all the patriots. You know, go after all the fucking anybody with dissent. You know, FEMA camps, whatever. You know.
I think if they were gonna do that, man, they would wait till after World War III. And here's why. Because if they go after a Night of the Long Knives when they first start World War III, then they're gonna be fighting on two fronts. See what I'm saying? Plus, the internal thing is going to be, if they're going to go for a Night of the Long Knives, what they'll do is they'll get the Russians and the Chinese to come here, right, to face off and grind down against the militias, right? Then, after it's all said and done with, if they win, this is their calculation, I think. If they win, then most people will turn in their guns because they'll be so sick of war. And the ones that don't, well, we got to take their guns, man. Look at the war we just came through. We got to stop this shit, the killing, the revenge. We got to stop it, man. We've got to get the people's guns. So you got to turn your guns in. And I guarantee you over half will turn them in, man, because they'll be so sick of the death. I would wait till after the war, and I think that's their calculation. The Night of the Long Knives will come after the war, not before.
I don't know, man. You got to think they're getting ready to go up against the most violent population to ever exist on this planet. Not to mention the most heavily armed. And yeah, they know that 100%. But when they finally pull that trigger, I mean, they can, even with all their computers, they can't estimate all the wild cards that are going to happen.
The problem is if they go after the militias and the Russians see it, right? The Russians are already here. And I don't mean Russian troops. I mean Russian immigrants, man. Do you know in Montana, for all of the 90s, we had more Russian immigrants than anybody else? It's that way kind of in a lot of states, man. And the thing about it is those Russian immigrants, most of them that I met were all vets. They were all vets of wars. So the thing about it is those guys are here, right? A while back, there was a Russian family that threw down up north of where I'm at. And they went at it with machine guns and RPGs. Okay? Machine guns and RPGs in a United States town, a small little town, too, by the way, a little tiny
Where
one.
was this?
I think the name of the town is Hilger. I could look real quick. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm right here. Because I don't think it's Hilger. I think Hilger is something else, actually. I've been tracking a lot of stuff for a lot of years. This happened in like 1994, but they threw down with RPGs and machine guns in a town in Montana. Got to break out the map, man. It's easier. Kalispell.
How do you spell that?
Kalispel. And if you're lucky enough to find it on here, because that was before the internet was real popular, but if you're lucky enough to find it on here, and if not, I can go dig this thing out. I got the original news broadcast where they talked about it. They show a car, and it's got a big old RPG hole right in the front of it. They're talking about how the two families went at it, man. There's another guy, his name's Stanislav something or other. I can find that video too if you want to watch it, because that one I actually found on YouTube. This guy come and testified in front of Congress. And the interesting thing about when this guy testified in front of Congress is he told them that all during the Cold War, the Russians had been sneaking weapons into the United States and setting up weapons caches, right? Well, the militias had been saying that for years. But of course, the government was like, you're all fucking crazy, right? There was a guy, a local dude here, he used to write an opinion column, and he was calling these people crazy because they believed that, right? The dude actually retired after this. He gave his last thing that he did, his last opinion piece he did, was an apology to all of these militia friends. Because he said, I didn't believe them, but here's the federal government saying that they found 4 of them. 4 of these weapons caches inside the United States, automatic weapons, RPGs, and hand grenades. How big are these caches? Over 50 years they've been smuggling that shit in. How big are they? That's the thing, man. People need to understand what the hell's going on. And the government knows this stuff. They know this stuff. If you remember before 9/11, man, Bush and the whole White House, Bush's whole administration was tripping out. If you remember back before 9/11, do you remember the story about the Russian Spetsnaz taking down the airport and practicing taking down the Air Force One at an airport? Y'all remember that? I do. Because before 9/11, it didn't look like the Muslims were going to attack us. They were pumping up war drums with Russia. And then friggin' boom, 9/11 happened and everything changed, or so we thought it changed. These guys have been going places and they've been doing stuff and it's been clandestine and under the radar. But the thing is you find a running thread there. The United States government wants us armed. They want us to have these weapons. They need us to have these weapons. Because they're fixing to start a war with Russia and China, so when this is all said and done, they come out on top running the New World Order. Because that's what it's all about. And the American population is the queen on the chessboard. Whoever gets them to fight for them wins. Because if we go against the federal government, now don't get me wrong, if they come around and try to collect our guns, dude, you know what to do. I don't need to tell you. But the thing is there's a possibility, man, that fucking they're trying to use us as a bulwark between them and the Russians and the Chinese. And they're hoping that they'll grind themselves down on us so that the United States comes out on top. That's what they're hoping.
I think
It's
they're also
risky.
betting on their hidden technology. You know, they've been spending
Oh, yeah.
$500, $1,000 on a hammer for fucking 45, 70 years, and
Yeah, I know.
who the fuck, you know, who knows what they got just waiting?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But the thing is, man, is why whip that shit out until you fucking are in a position where you win, where you can clear the chessboard. So
And,
keep
and
that shit hidden.
and what's war prove? It drives technology.
Oh, yeah.
Every world war is driven technology. Every war is driven technology.
Thing is, though, is you don't have to have war for technology. You really don't. I mean, it takes a little bit longer because with war, people are piling money into it. You know what I mean? So they're throwing cash at it till it's solved because they need it right now for war. But technology will grow without war too. It just takes a little longer because nobody's willing to send trillions of dollars a year at it.
I guess what
You
I should have said is the elite or the banker scum or, you know, whoever controls this planet only let the good technologies or
Oh, yeah.
whatever technologies out when we have big wars.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with that. That's usually how it works, man. All the good technology comes out of war. I mean, look, World War II. We were going into World War II. It was all fucking biplanes and fucking trench guns. Come out of World War II, and it's friggin' state of the art missiles, fighter jets, all kinds of stuff changed. Nuclear weapons. But see, that's the thing, man. And I know a lot of people think, oh, well, you know, we just use our nukes on them. No. No, actually, there's an actual strategic doctrine where they talk about limited nuclear exchanges. The United States was banking on it, too. That's why we had short-range missiles in Germany, man. We didn't intend on nuking each other's cities, man. We were going to try to take territory. Nuking each other's cities was the last resort. You watch all them movies from the 90s the 80s and even the late 70s, man, and it's always, oh, it's a full-on exchange. No, actually, there's steps to get there. There's steps, and the first initial step is military targets, naval fleets.
Satellites. They're going to be a satellite war.
Could be. Could be. It could be a war up there trying to blow each other's missiles up, man.
Well, they're already. If you follow the little military websites, that's what they're preparing for. It's going to be it's going to be a high atmospheric, war in space.
The thing is, though, man, is the American government likes to say that that's, and I'm starting to hear that more and more in a lot. Like I watch a lot of war videos, man. I don't know why. Probably trying to pick something up out of it. I don't know. But I've been watching some stuff, right? And a lot of the comments always say in the bottom, well, we don't fight wars in conventional ways anymore, right? And then why are we buying fucking fighter planes? Why are we buying fucking new bombs and missiles? Why are we buying guns? Well, we don't fight wars in conventional ways anymore, right? So why is Russia spending all that money on updating their shit? Why is China spending all that money on updating their shit? Because we don't fight wars that way anymore, right? Because that's what they always say. Oh, well, we're not going to have wars like that because war's not like that anymore. Okay, why are we buying all that equipment? Why does the U.S. still have tanks?
The Korean War is kind of a perfect example of what you're saying. You know, they went from prop-driven fighters to jet fighters, and during the process, they decided that they didn't need guns because they were going to have these new fancy guided missiles on their.
F-4s,
Exactly. And what happened? Third way through the war, they realized they needed gun pods for those F-4s.
Yeah, and they were notoriously inaccurate because they were mounted on frickin' bomb racks.
Yeah.
Because they weren't internally mounted. See, I don't know. That's the thing, man, is they assume a lot of shit, man. And I'll tell you right now, yeah, the internet's cool, and you can attack a country through the internet. You can do a lot of damage, right? But remember, the internet was not around during World War I or World War II. If they take the internet down and the power grid down, welcome to Germany, 1945. That didn't stop the damn war, did it? No.
You know, one reason I don't think they'll do that right off the bat is because they don't want to wake a lot of us up. They want to keep as many of us not fighting them as possible for as long as possible.
Well, see, the thing is, though, man, is I don't think Russia and the U.S. are on the same side. I actually think Putin is actually going against the New World Order because Putin doesn't like where Russia fits in the pecking order.
But you've said it before, man. I mean, and I've heard this not just from you, but way more credible people than any of us, have pointed out that, that's what's exactly what's going on. You have the neoconservatives, the neocons, who are going against the oligarchies of Russia and China, and they're all fighting for leader, to lead the New World Order under the UN and, one world government.
Yep. And the thing is, man, is they're willing to throw down to get it. Look, we're talking. The government apparatus is almost completely in place. The financial apparatus is there, dude. If you think it's not, look back a couple of years to what happened to the Swiss banks. I mean, people went there and made claims. Give us all this money. Those are Swiss banks, man. That's not supposed to happen in a Swiss bank, but it did. Because the financial system is already absolutely controlled. Absolutely. You can do so much. You can screw a country up real bad through the financial system because it's so interweaved, it's so intertwined. All it needs now is a governing body. And that's coming. Is it going to be the United States Fed or the IMF, which is what it was? But I don't think it's going to stay that way. I think it might be the BRICS Bank.
Well, you're damn right it's going to be the BRICS Bank. And our economy, our dollar is going to see hyperinflation when the BRICS banks are initiated or, opened. It will immediately cause hyperinflation. You'll see gold and silver shoot up tremendously. All commodities will shoot up tremendously. It'll be probably $10 for a loaf of bread overnight.
Well, and that's the thing, man. The whole thing is we're in a position where the world government is almost set up. Okay, they're almost there, man. Now it determines who is in control. Because all through the Cold War, who was running the UN? Well, kind of America, man. We wanted to go in somewhere. We went in under UN colors. Oh, yeah, we're peacekeepers. Really, we were trying to steal oil or some other shit. But we were running the UN because it's here in the United States. There was a big move in the 90s to move the UN out of the United States. So the thing is, man, as Russia and China are actually championing the UN right now. Russia and China are both calling for a UN, what do they call it, readiness force or something like that, an emergency deployment force. They're calling for that. The only one who isn't is the United States, and we laugh at the UN because everybody thinks, oh, well, the UN can only get troops from us. Bullshit. Bullshit. They can get troops from any country who's willing to fucking put them under their command.
They have
Any
troops
country.
from all the countries.
That's right.
Limited numbers. Different numbers. Mostly also.
People forget, man, the K4 thing, and I'm going to get into some acronyms, sorry. I'll explain it first, then I'll go through it. All right, K4, Kosovo something force, okay? Yeah, S4 was the Serbia or it was in Bosnia, not Serbia, but it was called S4, right? Okay? They were a NATO outfit, and they went in on the K4 stuff. They went into fucking Kosovo, right? And the Russians met us. Now the Russians came in blue helmets. So people need to wake the hell up, man, because the United States is not the only ones who put fucking military forces under the UN. Other countries do it too. And China has been saying for a long time that they want to. They've been talking to the UN. And remember where Ban Ki-moon is from. South Korea. And the United States has been acting aggressively, dude. There's talk in the international community, man, about bringing fucking charges against some American military officers and fucking politicians for war crimes, dude. They actually indicted Bill Clinton and Wesley fucking Clark. And I know a lot of people like Wesley Clark, but let me tell you something about him. He was indicted for targeting civilians in Bosnia and Serbia. At The Hague. He's a war criminal. That's why fucking, if you ever paid attention to when he was running for president, every channel would say the same shit. Well, you know, he has that one problem. Yeah, he's an indicted fucking war criminal. That's that one problem right there. And they indicted Bill Clinton, too. Why do you think Bill Clinton doesn't travel a lot of places, man? He goes to Africa. You ever see him go to any of those UN extradition countries? Nope. These people have been indicted, man, and fucking America is starting wars all over the world. Everybody who says, oh, the UN's a fucking joke, you're fucking dreaming, dude. The UN is the world government, and it will happen. Because we laugh at them.
Well, it's like that video that surfaced of Hillary Clinton talking to the Trilateral Commission and thanking them for their views, and and for her running down there to get ideas on how she should proceed in the State Department.
Yep.
These people. If you think these politicians run the show, you're asleep. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the truther, prepper, freedom, constitutional movement that still think that we have a constitutional form of government, that these senators and congressmen are representing us, or these politicians. And the fact of the matter is they're not. All you have to do is look at their actions, or their voting records, or their deeds. Follow the money. You follow the money, you realize who's giving them the money and why they're voting certain ways and throwing you under the bus.
See, I have another thing, too, to say, and I'm not trying to make anybody mad, okay? But I've been watching these videos, right, and I have noticed something. I've been watching videos of the fighting in the Ukraine, and I've been watching videos of the United States military in Iraq. There's a big difference between the two. A very big difference, at least in the videos. In the videos, when the Americans come under fire, they pull back and set up a perimeter, which is smart. Not the Russians. The Russians hard charge. When they take fire, they assault the fucking position. That's how we used to train our soldiers. When you take fire, you assault the position. I've gotten a whole bunch of videos from old Navy SEALs from Vietnam. You know what they say? In an ambush, the only thing you can do is charge it. Try to get between them. That's all you can do.
You achieve fire superiority as fast as you can.
That's right. Because fucking, and they still train them that way in Russia. We don't. So we're not as badass as everybody thinks, man. They're more aggressive over there. They have comparable equipment. Yes, we've got stuff that's better than theirs. But let me remind you of something, man. And I always get on this one because someone said it to me once, and it still bugs me to this day. But Russia uses a propeller-driven plane, right? Everybody jokes about it. Oh, yeah, they're still using planes that are propeller-driven. We do, too. P-3 Orion, C-130, fucking there's all kinds of planes we use that have propellers. But the reason that... No, I'm talking about the Tu-95.
Oh, yeah.
The reason that the Tu-95 is so effective is because its loiter time, how long it can stay in the air, is almost double what the B-52 can do. It's got distance on the B-52. It flies further, and it's only like 75 miles an hour slower. Either one of them is a sit and duck against a fighter.
I think
that extra 100 miles. No, actually, I think the U.S. has more bombers. But the thing is the Russians have been practicing low infiltration tactics, which we don't do anymore. We use B-1 bombers for low infiltration, and we used to use B-52s, but now we do a lot of bombing from high up. Hold on, let me get them to kill that vacuum. Sorry, fellas. Anyway, the way it works is you send in the B-1 bombers, right? That's the swing wing slick looking job. It's the B-1 Lancer. You send in the B-1 Lancer at low altitude, radar or lower, right? You send the B-2s in high. The B-2s are not designed to be a strategic bomber per se, okay? You can use it that way, but that's not what its design is. Its design is to fly high and destroy the air radar sites. So as these planes are pushing in, these B-2s are flying up there, and they're destroying all the radar sites. so that you can't track those Lancers that are coming in at a high rate of speed. Those guys are the ones, they're the punch. Those B-2s are designed to be able to go in and take out any kind of anti-aircraft system, any kind of missile or anything like that. The F-22 can do that role somewhat. The F-117 can do that role. Any stealth fighter we have can do that role. That's why the F-35 will be so effective. But the thing about it is Russia fields a plane that's just as good as that friggin' B-1 bomber. It's called the Blackjack. If you want to look it up, it's at TU-195, I think is what they're called. But it's the Blackjack. It looks exactly like the B-1 bomber, except it's bigger.
Also, Russia and China have been in the Generation 5 fighter business for the last 2 to 3 years, or longer, but they've actually had working Generation 5 fighters for the last 2 or 3 years. And from what I understand, the Russian one is probably comparable, if not better, than the F-22, and with less money put into it.
Yeah, you're talking about the PAC-50, right?
I thought the PAC was the Chinese one. I don't know.
PAC is the Russian one. The Chinese one's just because you said it, I think it's like the J40 or something like that. J30. Hold on, I'll get it for you real quick. I can make sure here. See, that's the whole thing, man. People need to understand that it is not as simple as everybody thinks. This could happen. This really could happen. And right now, America attacks countries for the crap we do. We attacked fucking, unless you don't believe it, but if you do believe it, we attacked Libya because he was going to a gold dinar, which threatened to undermine the petrodollar. What the fuck do you call Brinks, man? If what Libya did was enough for us to go in there and fuck Libya up, what do you call the BRICS Bank?
I'm glad you brought that up, Smurf, because there's a lot of people in the movement that don't understand that. They don't understand that that's exactly why they went after Saddam, too, because he had enough and he was going to peg his fucking dollar with oil.
To the euro dollar, or yep, to the euro, yep.
Money is behind all this. The control of money is behind all of this.
Well, it's not everything. It's not the be-all, end-all. But the thing is if America lets the dollar be undermined, we lose our economic power. Once we lose our economic power, there's a lot of things we can't do anymore. One of them is spend so much on a military. So what happens when a country gets put in a position where its money devalues? Well, they go to war, dude. They go to war.
Let's bring some history into it. When a government is dependent upon the bankers for money, they and/or are not the leaders of the government control the situation, since the hand that takes money has no mouth. Finances are without partisanship and without decency. Their sole object is to gain. Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah, and that's very true. They want to make money off it, but see, the thing is, they'll be able to get the United States military to go because the simple truth, and it's not necessarily the military. It's more, I would think it's more the military-industrial complex and Congress, because you're starting to see a lot of calls for war. Anyways, it's the J-20, and then there's another one called the J-30, and both of them are stealth fighters. Those are the Chinese versions.
Yeah, that's it.
But that's the thing, man. People got to understand that these guys are fielding stuff. Our technology's good, man. It really is, and we spend a whole shitload of money on it. But the thing is, damn it, fucking Germany spent a whole shit ton of money on their military too, and they fielded jets in World War II, fighter jets against P-51 Mustangs, and they bested them by like 200 miles an hour.
Well, and you bring up a good point, man. I mean, with the numbers that Russia and China have, just in military equipment alone, I'm not even saying manpower. Our government has no choice but to bet on robotics and high technology. That is what they're betting on. You know, it's probably going to be the only thing that's going to save them besides.
And how well is that equipment going to work in an EMP situation?
Yeah, I mean.
That's the thing.
You can't
right
protect
there.
electronics from EMP though. That's not the the end all. All the modern tanks and Bradleys and everything. They're EMP proof.
Not all actually. They started doing an update program. What was it, 10 years ago? And they're not done yet, man. They've been doing a little bit every year. But that's not even the biggest issue. The biggest issue is the Russian hackers. The Russian hackers and the Chinese hackers, look at what they're getting into. I don't know if you guys remember this, man, but we were bombing Iraq in the 90s, and 60 Minutes did this story. Somebody got into the Pentagon computer, right? They didn't do a lot while they were in there, and the Pentagon said they didn't get to anything important or vital, right? No, they just broke into the storage supply list. So they changed all the numbers for all the parts. So guys who were ordering landing gear for an A-10 in fucking Saudi Arabia or whatever base they needed that landing gear were getting a fucking tuna can opener. Well, imagine how, put that down a little bit. So you order bullets, what do you get? Bandages. You order artillery rounds, what do you get? A Spam can?
You know, it brings up a point in my mind, Smurfs. You know, I believe there is white hats in our government. There's also a lot of black hat traitors that are literally trying to undermine and open the door for possibly an invasion from Russia or China, or, you know, a takeover by the feds or whatnot.
Well, that's just the thing, man. We need to, I don't know. I think there's more white hats than there are black hats. Politician-wise, I think they're mostly black hats. But your regular rank and file Pentagon guy or your average military dude, I don't think that there's so many of them that are black hat. My biggest problem isn't so much that it's that way. My biggest problem, I guess, would be that people need to open their eyes and see the big picture of what's happening around the world. And I'm not saying nobody isn't, at least in this chat, you know, because everything everybody's saying makes perfect sense with what we got going on. But the thing is we really need to start looking overseas a little bit too, because there's stuff happening. The United States is building up armor in, I think it's Poland or someplace like that. We're putting armor into those countries, like we're getting ready to go into Russia. That's not good.
I mean, we were talking about, well, theoretically, if World War III was going to start, man, I kind of think it's already started, honestly.
I think so.
I mean, if you look by the actions of our government, the actions of Russia and China, China being down there in the South Pacific and the Pacific, you know, Russia being, they even got a thing going on in the Pacific, and a lot of people don't know about that. They have actually island disputes going on too. You know, there's a good damn chance that Russia and China might go say, fuck you, Japan, and go right down and roll through there.
Well, the thing is, you got to remember what happened in Germany, man. Germany went across into Poland, and a lot of people consider that the beginning of the war, but it was a few years until the other stuff happened.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the war was all the behind-the-scenes manipulation and build-up and espionage that was going on. You know, before all that happened, all those 40s those war movies in the 40s and 30s, they all predicted that. They all put it in the movies back then too. If you go back and watch some of those old ones.
Oh yeah. That's the thing about it, man. With hindsight, they're probably going to say that actually 9/11 was the opening shot in World War III because of the geopolitical things. The geopolitical things that are happening behind the scenes that we don't know yet. But people who are going to come after this, they're going to put that stuff in the history books. There's a bunch of stuff we don't know yet. I mean, remember, back at the time, nobody knew that fucking FDR knew about the Chinese or the Japanese coming. Today, It's common fucking knowledge.
Right. Another war that's perpetuated by banker greed and manipulation, lies, deception.
Well, the thing about it is it's not just banker greed. Banker greed is a big part of it. I agree, them guys got a lot to freaking pay for, man. But it's a conglomeration of fucking different agendas, man. The bankers want to make money. War's good for business, right? But the military-industrial complex wants to make money. The politicians, they like to come out of it smelling like a rose. Yeah, we're your war heroes. We sent boys to die in some foreign country. We were the guy in office when this shit happened, and look how good we did. You know, they all have agendas that work together, and that's usually when you got a problem. And right now, the bankers in the United States government have one big thing in common. The BRICS Bank is a threat.
That's
That BRICS Bank is enough to go to war over.
not
Just
to
it
mention
by itself.
it's the war cycle, man. You got all the blood moons, you got all the Illuminati bullshit that they, because I mean,
Yeah.
bottom line, everybody knows these politicians that are running the show, they really do go worship fucking owls, wooden statues of owls in the damn redwood forest. They really do run around and worship the fucking demons and devils and all that other bullshit. They've been caught several times. It's not a conspiracy,
Yep.
and so. Kind of forgot where I was going with that point, but it's just so mind blowing. It's like something out of the Twilight Zone to say that. I feel silly saying it, but it's fact. And, that's what's so mind blowing about all this shit is what's really going on at the top level. That's what I'd like to know. Well, what do these people really have in store for us? Is it just the conquest and the death of 6.5 billion people so they can achieve their under 500 million goal of humans? You got the World Health Organization, you got all these elite running around talking about we need one-child policies and sterilization through vaccines and food and water and GMOs. I mean, I could go on and on. We keep talking about the militaries in the government, the people fighting the governments and stuff. But really, man, we got to point our knives at the people that are really at fault here. The people that have been scheming for 150 years to do this.
I think they've been scheming longer than that. I think it goes all the way back to the Middle Ages in France, to tell you the truth.
I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it, man.
But the thing is, man, let's put it this way. Hitler started a world war, man. A lot of people say it was over global domination, right? I'm not so apt to believe that. I think that globe was a fraud. World War I was the same deal. Kaiser Billy's trying to take over.
He was hanging out with the Warburgs and the Fords and the Rockefellers.
I know.
People that believe that are just so gullible.
But the thing is, the point is you tell them that, and then you tell them about the New World Order and the one world government through usurpation, right? They don't believe it. Well, they've tried by force twice now, according to what they believe. Tried by force. So why wouldn't you try to do it this way? Are you kidding me? I would. If it was me trying to take over, this would have been the way to do it right here. First get control of the money, then get control of fucking the militaries that you want to have control of. And then when it gets to the point where you're within reach of that brass ring, then go military, and everything happens. The sad thing about it is what's that guy? Is it Albert Pike that wrote the thing about the three wars? I can never remember. No, it was before that. It was the original Illuminati dude. And a lot of people don't believe this. The problem is the fucking letters in the museum. It exists. It's real. It's not a fucking fiction. It's an actual letter. And they fucking described 3 world wars in it. And it was in like fucking 1570 or something like that. So people need to go back and look at some of this stuff, man, because these guys put their information out there. It's gotten out over the years, man. And when it gets out, what's the immediate cry? What's her face? Kennedy's wife, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, right? Her diary was supposed to come out after she died. Okay? Her diary came out. And guess what the media did? It's a fraud. It's not real. It's a fraud. Because it said something that they didn't want it to say. But it was her diary.
Yeah, I actually have that Albert Pike quote, by the way. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionist and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionist and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Albert Pike, 1887. And that's out of Morals and Dogma.
Yep. But there's an older comment, too, about the 3 wars, and that's actually the original Illuminati paper. And that's the one the guy got caught. The friggin' the messenger got struck by a bolt of lightning. No shit. No shit. If you go look it up, man, it's the original. I think the guy's name was Weisentrop or some shit like that. I could find out and then shoot you a fucking PM, man, and let you check that out. But the actual letters in the fucking museum in Hungary, I think, is the country where it happened. People need to look back at this stuff, man. These guys have been caught before. The shit's come out before. She's like the report from Iron Mountain. Today if you talk to people, oh, no, that's not real. That's all bullshit. No, it's not, actually. It's pretty well documented that it's not bullshit. You got to look into this stuff, man, because.
What about the CIA trials, or was it in the 70s? They had the CIA congressional hearings and shit.
Oh, yeah, with the little dart that creates a heart attack. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They got into a lot of stuff though. They started to get into them doing that to other countries and stuff, and they had to go to closed door session.
Yep. It's because they've been called. They've been called out on this shit. They've been called out on it, and every time they fucking just sweep it under the rug. Oh, the American people won't remember. We just stopped talking about it. But it's all there. I mean, yeah, I'm a big believer in making sure you got facts to back up the shit you're saying. Let me tell you something. You start looking and actually looking, you're going to find shit. And most of the people that are in these chats, they done found that shit. That's why they're here. Is because they done seen that shit. And people who say, oh, no, that's not true. Well, yeah, a lot of times it actually is, man. Because this is how it's done. This is how it's been done for years and years and years. Go back and look at history. King of England looks like he might lose control of these countries. So he writes a letter to his French cousin. Hey, man, I need you to invade my country so I can fucking have a war with you. That shit happened. It's not a joke. There's historical documentation that proves that shit happened. These guys will do things together if it'll save both of them. Now, I don't think Russia and China want to do anything with America except wipe us off the bottom of their boot. That's what they want. And they think if they can get a civil war going in this country, and that's what Soros is trying to do, by the way. They think if they can get us going on a civil war, man, they get us to kill each other. And when we're killing each other, then it's going to become a real problem, man. Because fucking when it's all said and done, are we going to have the wherewithal to be able to stand up to them in blue helmets? No. But hey, the UN's a joke. Because they can't get no troops. Well, that's bullshit because most of the time, UN troops don't wear an American uniform. Most of the time, they wear other uniforms.
I think one of my biggest beefs is that the people that deny that this has been going on a long time, they deny that the American people, the American middle class, have been set up for this exact moment in history. I mean, the poisoning of the food and the water, the perpetual war, the debt. I mean, this is all pre-planned. And if you want to learn that, all you have to do is go to the source of the information. People are, well, what do you mean the governments around the world want to kill all the people? Go read the World Health Organization website. Go read some shit from the UN. They say this. Go read Bill Gates's papers. Go read, you can go on and on with these elite scumbags. They are all in on it.
Agenda 21 is real eye-opening. Anybody who ain't read that needs to get to reading that.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, though, man. People need to sit down and they need to take a look around at what's really going on, and they need to look at the international politics, man. It's not just the United States that's important. What's happening over there right now in Ukraine, that has huge implications. If that turns into a shooting war between the United States and Russia, let me be real clear about this. Russia will come here.
Yeah, they'll try to decapitate the head of the snake. They will go right for the head of the snake.
They've already got propaganda to their citizens saying the U.S. is bad.
Did you hear what they said they wanted to do?
The European Union and in Russia. Almost every country in the world hates us. They wouldn't really need a reason to go.
Well,
one of the top generals in Russia, was it last month, stated that we should literally sneak somebody into Yellowstone Park and blow up Yellowstone to cause a natural disaster here in the country just to get us out of the way. That's exactly his quote.
And that's the whole thing, and that's what people need to understand, man. There's more going on here. The fifth column does exist. Laugh all you want. You're going to find out the hard way. This shit will happen. It's not an if, it's a when and how. But it will happen. We're going to end up with Russian troops here at some point or another, unless America wins the war, man. But I guarantee you, when we win the war, they will be on our shores when we defeat them. I don't think we're going to win. I think we're going to lose. I don't think we got what it takes to win. I think we've lost it. Because we're going to be facing two armies. China's a super powerful industrial nation, man. They can pump equipment out quick. And they are starting to do stuff underground, man. They got all kinds of secret facilities going on over there. Russia's had secret facilities for years now. Years. U.S. has them too. But the thing is, people just, you got to wake up, man. If the only people that are left alive are those people down in those bunkers, what chance does America fucking stand? Not much. But if they can get us to fight amongst ourselves, and that's what I think they're going to get, I think they're going to get us to fight each other.
That's at least what they're putting their money into.
Yep. I think they're going to get it. It may take a little bit, but I think they're going to get it. I think it's actively happening. I think we're seeing the results of it every day.
Well, let's talk about that. Like, I think we're on the same side about Ukraine. I'm actually with Crimea. I stand with Crimea for the simple fact that Ukraine is the one at fault there. They had the uprising that happened there, and there was literally what is that lady's name? Janet Yellen?
Yeah,
is that the one that got caught?
Yeah, she did.
Saying, "Oh yeah, we hired the snipers. We hired the snipers. We told them to shoot those political people, which actually caused the chain reaction into the war."
It wasn't Yellen. Yellen's the Fed lady. It's
Oh yeah.
Oh god damn it! It's an ambassador lady, man. She's a real piece of work too. But she didn't say they hired the snipers. That's not what she said. She said they spent so much money, and the Russians eavesdropped on her call and recorded it.
Yeah, they recorded it. Yeah, I forget her exact words, but it was something along the lines. Basically,
well, it was another lady. They brought in somebody to do a fucking autopsy on the people that were shot at the protest, and it turned out that fucking the people that were shot at the protest were shot with a certain bullet that was used by whoever it was. It was specific enough that it wasn't the cops.
My point being, though, bringing that up, though, is that if you look at the militias that are defending Crimea, they are ripping them fucking Ukrainians a new asshole. I mean, they have the bigger force, they're more money, they're more heavily armed with technology and stuff, and those little militias whooped the shit out of that Ukrainian army.
Yeah. Well,
they were backed by the Russians, of course, but they were mostly Crimean militias, and people flood. Just like here, you got Americans running over to fighting for who is it? Against ISIS on the Iraqi side. I forget the Peshmergas. The Peshmergas.
Peshmerga.
Yeah, and the same thing. You got Russians coming from all over Russia to go fight down there in Crimea for what they feel is patriotic because it's on their border and they're protecting their own.
But that's the whole thing, man. People need to understand what the hell's going on, because these are tender boxes that could kick off. You think Russia's just gonna sit back, man, and let fucking ISIS overrun Syria? Syria's a friend. Plus, Russia's got a damn base there. It's the only one they have in the Med, by the way. It's the only one. It's a naval base. It's right there in Syria, and it's the only one.
They'll defend it just like we would defend the Caribbean.
That's right. People have to understand what's going on here, man. There's power politics going on here, man. There's fucking regime change going on all over the world. The world is completely unstable right now. This is not stable. It's never, ever, ever been like this before. You got countries falling left and right. You got countries where it's fucking total anarchy right now. Total fucking anarchy. Look at Libya. It's craziness there, man. People are fleeing. Every day people are dying, man. Boats are turning up missing in the Med. Well, we know they left from Egypt, but we can't find the boat. Well, there was a couple hundred people on that friggin' boat, and it's happening almost every day. People got to wake up to what's going on, man. Things are changing. Stuff's happening.
Those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it, and it's all in history. The war cycle's coming. If you guys want to know what's coming and you don't want to know the steps or at least have a good idea, study history. Study the war cycle. Study what happened before the war happened. All the little espionage and the backdoor tactics and all that shit, because it's all going on right now. You can see the buildup.
Well, and the U.S. isn't above using a false flag. Remember the story of the Lusitania, man. People really need to research the Lusitania. Okay? Hold on, I'm going to give my dog my food.
The Gulf of Tonkin's the one that I think is a bigger...
Well, the thing with the Lusitania, though, man, was the Germans actually warned the U.S. about the Lusitania, and the American government fucking released documentation to the Germans that fucking, or not to the Germans, it was printed in the paper that they were shipping arms in the Lusitania. But they told those people to go ahead and get on that boat, that they would be perfectly safe. But they told the Germans, by putting it in the paper, that there were arms on that fucking boat. So they painted a big old giant target on the side of the Lusitania that the Germans couldn't resist but to shoot. Because it was full of weapons, right? And for the longest time, the American government, no, it doesn't have any weapons into it. Guess what? They dove on that wreck. Guess what they found? She is full of weapons.
Yeah, I seen that video. That was pretty interesting.
So they set them up and they used it as an excuse to put us into World War I. You have doubts about this shit, look at history, pay attention, man. The Gulf of Tonkin is a great one too, man. I mean, fuck World War II, fucking Pearl Harbor. We knew they were coming. Nobody warned nothing. Tell me, all of our old antiquated battleships are lined up on Battleship Row, but all 3 of our carriers are gone?
I was just going to say that, but the new carriers were out at sea without their escort, their battle battalions.
Yeah, without their fucking battleships. Wake up, man. And all countries do it. It's not just the U.S., man. All countries do it. Expect China to pull something here pretty soon with Vietnam, because they're having clashes with Vietnam and on the political side. How long till that goes violent?
All right, let's bring back the 9/11 since we're talking about false flags. What about the fucking 6, 7, 8 Israelis that were caught filming 9/11 and then were literally arrested because some good Samaritans realized these people were filming it and cheering the buildings collapsing? And you can look this up, people that don't believe this. Look it up on YouTube. You can see the newsreels about it. They found explosives in these Israelis' vans. There were several vans found. The Israelis were arrested at the scene. They were immediately deported. They were immediately deported, and when a year and a half after they were deported, they were on Israeli TV talking about pretty much. They didn't, admit to what they'd done, but they were talking about how they were there filming it. They knew it ahead of time.
No, I think that was more of a setup thing. But the thing is those Israelis were guilty because they were going to blow up those bridges. That was their target. They were going to do that. They were guilty, man. But I think there's part of that where they were being set up too. The people who did 9/11, man, I still think honestly is Dick Cheney and some of the neocons did 9/11.
Well, the Project for New American Century tells everything. Yeah, all you got to do is read that.
But see, they needed a fall guy, man, and they set up too, man. They set up fucking what's his face, Osama bin Laden, and then their fallback was either Saudi Arabia or Israel.
Well, I mean, what I'm getting at is they probably used the Israeli intelligence agency to do their covert shit because they didn't trust American agencies to do that.
Well, the thing is Israel is guilty of some shit there. There's no way around that. They're guilty of some shit there.
Yeah.
So, but the 9/11 thing, I don't think that was Israel. But anyway, the truth about politics is telling us it's about time to wrap it up. So I'll turn the mic back over to him.
Thank you. Guys, it's getting kind of late. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark, if not already past it. Let me check. Yeah, we're just now going past the 2-hour mark. It's been a great chat. Do you guys have any outros you want to do?
I guess so. I'm Quasar Nugs. If you want to check my channel out, cool. If not, cool. Live free or die.
Okay, don't sub me. My channel sucks. That's all I got, man.
Yeah. It's been a great chat, guys. Unfortunately, Panther couldn't stay on. He was dropped out and he could not get back in. Google is really messing with him. So this is the Truth About Politics channel in the AISOM After Chat saying good night, be safe, and read the Constitution.